Welcome Brendan Hoy, who's the General Manager Client Services at Catholic Development Fund, who support the Church's mission by providing financial services to build and sustain church-related communities and activities through the Melbourne, Ballarat, Sunbury and Sale dioceses. Would you please make welcome Brendan Hoy.
Thanks very much for that, Brian. And that's a hard act to follow, isn't it? But it is fabulous for CDF to be here this evening, and we're really proud of the long history we've got in supporting this event. I'm very conscious that I'm standing here tonight as a sponsor, you know, so you're now hearing from one of our sponsors, which typically means it's time for people to up and leave and put a kettle on and things like that. So I'm going to keep it nice and short and sharp. I think my role here tonight is to have something a little bit short and sharp and interesting at the start, something short and sharp and interesting at the end, and very little in between. So I'm going to try and keep it very, very short. At CDF, what I'm going to do tonight is just talk to you briefly about what CDF does, and then I'm going to just tell a couple of little stories, and we'll hope to have some slides move forward as we do that. Essentially what CDF does and what we were formed for is to gather deposits or investments from around the Catholic community, and we provide loans out to different Catholic organisations so that they can build stuff. And, you know, so that might be building schools, it might be building hospitals, it might be building shelters for the homeless and so on. I think the thing that inspires me most about the works that we do is that CDF just provides services that it ultimately helps people, and it's the faces of some of these people. And I'm going to try and see if I can do some magic here, and if we jump forward perhaps 3 slides, please. Thank you. The photo I've got up on the screen here is a photo of a gentleman named Stephen. Stephen's a resident at the aged care facility at Sacred Heart Mission down in St Kilda. And we proudly helped to support Sacred Heart Mission to build that aged care facility a few years ago. I think that when you look at Stephen, there's a few things that really jump out at you. You can tell he's younger than most people who you'd think of as being in an aged care facility. But you can also tell he's had a hard life. You know, and it's true that Stephen has spent most of his adult life on the streets and living rough, and he's had addictions and other issues within his life. But if I can draw your attention to Stephen's eyes. Stephen's eyes have a sparkle at the moment in this photo and a smile upon his face that hadn't been there for a lot of his life. If you ever get the opportunity to do a tour down at the Sacred Heart Mission's aged care facility, it is one of the most remarkable experiences you'll have when you have the likes of Stephen or Graham or any of the other people who are residents there. They'll stand and they'll welcome you, and they'll welcome you to our home. And it's the first time in their adult life they've had that whole notion of home. And so, yes, CDF, we provide loans to provide, you know, to help organisations build buildings, but it's about the stories that sit within the buildings that is where the really big magic happens. If we can jump forward one more slide, please. My magic clicker, thank you. And it's not dissimilar to tonight, where we're here to raise money for the seminary. And again, it's not about the seminary, but it's more about the seminarians. And the photo I've got up on the screen here has a link to both the seminarians and to Sacred Heart Mission. We've got 2 seminarians in there. We've got Anthony and Reese. And after some much drawn-out conversations, they agreed for me to be able to use their images this evening. But Anthony and Reese did some work experience with us over summer last year, and as you can see here, they're participating in one of the formation activities we do with our staff, and we're helping out down at the soup kitchen down at Sacred Heart Mission there. I think that whilst both Anthony and Reese were really, very great contributors to CDF whilst they worked there, I think that we did help them realise that their works were going to be out with people rather than sitting behind computer screens. And I think we saw earlier on as well that perhaps they're going to be better at preaching rather than acting with some of those earlier ones. So I'm going to leave it there for now, but if I can just sort of finish off with one request, if that's okay. On your tables, there's brochures for CDF. Just have a look at those through the course of the evening. CDF provides loans out to Catholic organisations to build stuff, and that stuff is to go to wonderful causes. People who invest to allow us to do that can be individuals, can be Catholic organisations, so have a look at that, and if you have any questions, table 33 and 34, we're more than happy to answer. Thank you all very much.